Thank you, Doug. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, nice. Very nice. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Let me join the chorus of thanking all those who have worked so hard for the Democratic Party, including the County Chairmen's Association, for putting together this annual event. But as I look across this hall and I've walked through the hall, I want to rejoin that chorus of thanks to our friends in organized labor. We would not be here without you. Thank you for standing up for working men and women across the United States and across the state of Illinois. My friends, let's not forget this moment in history. Let's not forget that we are in the closing weeks of the presidency of a man whom we've called our friend, our neighbor, our leader, Barack Obama. Don't forget that when he took the office of presidency almost 8 years ago, our nation was in the worst recession that we had seen for 70 years. We were losing 800,000 jobs a month when he was sworn into office because the previous Republican administration had pushed economic policies which were destroying the American economy. That's what Barack Obama inherited. He turned it around, and we know what came of it. He saved the American automobile industry and thousands of good-paying jobs across the United States of America. He took on the Wall Street banks when no one else would. Without any help from the Republican Party, he said, we're not going to allow those bankers on Wall Street to lead America on Wall Street or Main Street into the type of ruination that we had seen before he was elected. He did it. And for 20 million Americans, Barack Obama meant that for the first time in their lives, they would have the peace and security of health insurance for their families. He ended discrimination based on pre-existing conditions, and is there a person or a family in this room that doesn't know what that story is all about? He said that women would no longer be discriminated against when it came to buying health insurance. He said that if you were a parent raising a child, you could keep them on your family health insurance policy till they reach the age of 26 while they're looking for that job after college or working part-time. He said to senior citizens across America, we're going to cut the cost of your prescription drugs and keep your money in your savings account, not going over the counter at the drugstore. That's what this president did, and he did it without one single Republican vote supporting him. He did it with his own determination and his own leadership. It's been almost 10 years ago since I sat down with my colleague in the Senate. It was up in Chicago at the Union League Club. Pulled him aside on a Friday night and said, Barack, you got to run for President of the United States. I wasn't the first one to say it to him, but we sat and talked for about 15 or 20 minutes about what it would mean. And he said to me, I better talk this over with Michelle. And I said, you better. Loretta and I went up to a dinner, Urban League dinner in Chicago, a couple weeks later, and Michelle was sitting there, and I went up to her table, and she saw me, and she said, come here. What are you doing to my husband? I said, honest to goodness, Michelle, he has something special. I saw it at that Democratic convention in Boston. I've seen it up in Galena. I've seen it downstate Southern Illinois. I've seen it everywhere. This man has a special quality about him. And he's going to attract people that have never been involved in politics to get involved for the first time. I sure hope he'll run. Well, we better think it over and we better talk it over. We'll get back to you. So I didn't want to put any pressure on him. I waited 5 days before I publicly endorsed Barack Obama for president. I was the first U.S. senator to endorse him for president. For 14 months, I was the only U.S. senator who endorsed him for president. I believe in this man. I believe in Michelle. I believe in Joe and Jill Biden, some extraordinary people who've made this candidacy, this presidency, so successful. And I will tell you this, he has so much patience and strength, I cannot believe it. There are times when I would have just blown up over what the Republicans were doing to him. But he is steady as you go. He's a solid leader. And I wanted this particular get-together, this brunch, to pay homage and to thank Barack Obama for his great leadership for the United States of America. He deserves it. He deserves it. He's our senator, our president. We all know who's going to carry on with his values and tradition, and we're going to talk about her when Kathleen Merrigan and others get up in a few moments. But I'm here to do a couple things, and I want to move on them quickly. We'll return to the presidential race in a moment. And we're going to actually do something the Republicans couldn't do yesterday, couldn't bring themselves to do. We're going to actually say the name of our presidential nominee out loud because we are proud of Hillary Clinton. Proud to stand with Hillary Clinton. Here they were, the party of Abraham Lincoln, the party of Theodore Roosevelt, the party of Dwight David Eisenhower, unwilling to say publicly the name of their own presidential nominee, I'll say it, Donald Trump. Why? Why would they not support him proudly and openly? Because they refuse to admit he is unfit to be president of the United States of America. Many Republicans are leaving him, as they should. Others are hanging around. You can't figure out what they're saying. Oh, I will support him, but I will not endorse him. What? What does this mean? Paul Ryan, what are you saying? I can't understand these things. But we know that if you took the words I, me, and my out of his vocabulary, Donald Trump would have nothing to say. What he is peddling across America is a message of anger, fear, and hatred. Their convention in Cleveland, to borrow or turn a phrase from Ronald Reagan, was midnight in America. Our convention in Philadelphia was morning in America. We are standing together, stronger because we are. I want to say a word about this state. I love this state. A lady came up to me at a naturalization ceremony a few years ago here in Springfield, and she said, I've been waiting to meet you for such a long time. You know, I went to nursing school at St. John's here in Springfield, and your sister was my roommate back in the 1960s. And she said, my kid brother, Richard Durbin, is going to be a politician someday. I'm just sure of it. Remember that name. And I watched, and sure enough, you started running for office. You didn't do too well at the beginning, and then you got elected. You got elected to Congress and the United States Senate, and I thought your sister was right. And now I got a chance to finally meet you. And I said, well, thank you so much, but I don't have a sister. And she said to me, well, you are from Decatur, aren't you? I said, no, I'm from East St. Louis. Nevertheless, those things happen in politics. Nevertheless, let me tell you this. I am proud to be from downstate Illinois. I am proud to have grown up with my wife in St. Clair County. I am proud to have lived here in Springfield for almost 50 years. I'm proud to have been a congressman from this area and to be senator for this entire state. And I am also proud to represent the greatest city in the United States of America, Chicago, Illinois. Those politicians in the other party who would divide our state and set Southern Illinois against Chicago and set Central Illinois against Northern Illinois, they aren't real leaders. They are dividers, and we don't need them. Whether they happen to be a governor or a congressman or a senator, whatever they happen to be, we are stronger as a state when we stand together. And we stand together when it comes to one important issue. We stand together when it comes to electing the next United States Senator to serve with me in Washington, D.C., Tammy Duckworth. Now, it was 12 years ago, some of you have heard this story, but it was 12 years ago, and there was a State of the Union address, and they gave me 2 tickets. And I said to my staff, call Walter Reed Hospital in Washington, see if there's an Illinois veteran out there who can come as my guest. They called and said, we got a veteran, and she's going through some medical treatment now, but she can make it here to be with you. And her husband's coming with her. And I met her for the first time, rolling into my office in a wheelchair in full dress uniform, Tammy Duckworth. She was 12 weeks after her incident in Iraq when she was shot down over Iraq in a helicopter, serving with the Illinois National Guard. We all know that she went through some devastating injuries. But despite that, 12 weeks later, there she was with the biggest smile I've ever seen. And she was being pushed into my office by her husband, Brian, another member of the Illinois National Guard. I met this woman and I thought, this is the most amazing person I've ever met in my life. The courage that she has shown, in volunteering to serve our nation, serving in combat as a helicopter pilot, weathering injuries which would have cost the lives of so many others without that determination that she brought to it. And then to come back and then to serve 10 more years in the Illinois National Guard, 10 more years after that, tells you what you need to know. And I will tell you, when her opponent in these super PACs attacked Tammy Duckworth in these ads, questioning her commitment to national defense, her commitment to our national security, my word to them is, have you no shame? Do you not realize this woman has proven over and over again in her life her commitment to America and its national security? Now we need her. We need her in the United States Senate. If Mitch McConnell continues as Republican leader in the Senate, we know that he will continue to say no to appointing and filling the vacancies on the Supreme Court. He will continue to refuse to fund critical issues like the opioid epidemic that affects every corner of our state, and the Zika virus, which we're fighting in Puerto Rico and Florida and across the United States. That's McConnell, cutting off the spending for critical things that we need as a nation. I need someone by my side who will vote to make sure that we have a Democratic majority in the United States Senate, who will be another strong voice for Illinois, who will make sure that she will be there on the floor of the United States Senate, fighting for our military, fighting for our veterans every day. Come on up here, my friend, our next United States Senator. Stand up and give a big round of applause for the next senator from the state of Illinois, Tammy Duckworth.